The war between Russia and Ukraine is still cascading as hits across countries of the world. Russian President Vladimir Putin is warming up to annexing some Ukrainian territories, and this action may precipitate some strong reactions from the West. We have details in this report.
Today is the final day of a ballot for the Russian-held regions of Ukraine, which the government and its Western allies have dismissed as a sham. Nearly 4 million people from the eastern regions of Donetsk and Luhansk and the southern regions of Kherson and Zaporizhia are being asked to vote in referendums on joining Russia. The votes, called with just a few days' notice, will be used by Russia to legitimize its invasion of Ukraine. If Russia absorbs these regions, making up about 15% of Ukraine's territory, it could take the war to a new and more dangerous level. Meanwhile, the Ukraine's defense ministry says Russia's president, Vladimir Putin, is likely to announce the annexation of occupied regions of Ukraine into Russia within days. According to the ministry, the Russian president could make the announcement when he addresses the country's parliament on Friday. On the flip side, many Russians are trying to leave the country for the fear that they could be soon called up for military service. More than 250,000 young men are said to have set off since the partial mobilization.
And for more on the war between Russia and Ukraine, I am now being joined virtually by the president of the Nigerian community in Volgograd, Dr. Mbanefo. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so let me start with the announcement we got from Russia some days ago about the mobilization of about 300,000 military reservists, and I just want to get you, some update on how Russians are reacting to that. We understand some people are fleeing already to countries like Finland and Serbia.
Yeah, of course, there have been rising concerns on being conscripted by the Russian authorities of these young people. Of course, it's part of human nature to be afraid of being sent into the front. But then there are also a huge number of people who are willing to take the risk and to defend their country. And I think from what I'm seeing, I think they are actually in the majority, and they are going to do everything possible to raise the number that is needed to stage an offensive on those captured regions.
And I just want to correct earlier, I called you Dr. Mbanefo. Your name is actually Dr. Ndefo. Just to apologize,
Yes.
just to apologize for that. All right, but staying on Russia, we also understand that there is now a move to annex. Of course, the voting is ongoing, but is this seen as some sort of victory in Russia? How Russians, we know how Putin is reacting to that, but how are Russians reacting to that?
Anyway, looking at Russia and looking at the people of Russia and the way they are reacting to this, they are giving a green light to the president. They really applaud what is going on. They applaud the fact that, of course, some of them, they have relatives in those regions, and it won't be in their interest for those people to be killed or to be left unprotected. So they are of the opinion that they should be protected. They are of the opinion that they should be annexed into the Greater Russian Federation.
Hmm. Are they really in support of President Putin? Because when you say that they are in support of this annexation, and yet was seen, like you also concurred to earlier, confirmed earlier, that some Russians are now fleeing the country because of the call for mobilization of reservists. Because it sounds like two different reactions to me when you say, oh, they support this, but they are fleeing the country because of this.
Okay, when we talk about mobilization, let me explain something. It's just like in Nigeria where you have the NYSC. Here, once you finish your your school, your what they call here, your school, secondary school. Let me use that as an analogy. You're being enrolled into the military once you're 17 years of age before you get into the university. So when they talk about mobilization, now almost everybody, like every young man within the ages of 18 to 60, they are scared that it could be them, but actually they came out to clarify that the people, it's just a partial mobilization, and the people that are needed are people who have who are skillful in that, who are experienced in that region, in that field. They are reservists in the military operation. So it's not just ordinary people who are, who just got their 1 year training in the military.
And there was some sort of a walk back to that statement by a Kremlin spokesperson who said errors were made in the announcement. But let's talk about again the outlook of this war in Russia. Are Russians seeing this war? Because again, when it first started, information coming from Russia was, oh, the Russians were in support of this war. But as at today, and when you look at the fact that Ukraine is now able to reclaim territories, are Russians still in support of this war? Do they see it as a Russian war or a Putin's war?
Okay, this is when you're talking about this kind of position, of course, you can't have 100% in support of a particular position. Of course, there are people in support and there are people actually vehemently opposing the views. But the thing is, there's the majority of the people, the majority of the population, they are of the opinion that the country is heading in the right direction. And with regards to the referendum that took place a few days ago and probably concluding today, yesterday, there has been invested opinion that this country, these regions captured by the Russian Federation, by the Russian military, would be kept, and a lot of Russian people, they are expressing their views that this area actually belongs to the Russian people.
Russian is already, in terms of landmass, the biggest country in the world, spanning both Europe and Asia. So one wonders how many territories Russia can take. But I want to ask you again, back to the mobilization of reservists. Do we, as much as we know that people are fleeing Russia to other neighboring countries, but have you also seen people who are enlisting into this, enlisting or saying, look, we're interested in being part of the reservists?
Of course, there are people on both sides. This is Russia, and so I get to meet people every day, and we have conversations, and they were like, oh, if that's what it comes to, I'm ready to defend my country. I have no choice. They say these things, and they are ready to do just that.
All right, so talk to us about the indication in Russia, because I listened to, I think it's the Finnish President Niinisto, who has met President Putin, I think about 10 times, and has good relations with him. And he described Putin as a fighter and one who doesn't give up easily. But he also said that Putin has become reckless and desperate in terms of this war. And so are there indications in Russia as to whether Putin might seek diplomatic solutions? Or is there any indication as to his next move?
I think the body language of the Russian president, actually, from ab initio, he doesn't even want to start this war. He has been looking for every opportunity to seek diplomatic relations with Europe before even it's escalated up to this point. And from the look of things, the European nations, they are looking for, even the citizens, they are actually at the heat of it, because winter is approaching. So every European leader, they are looking for opportunity, even though they don't want to admit it, they don't want to come out, come out and express that this is what they want. Nobody wants this war. Nobody wants it to continue because of the inflation that this is causing, even with the citizens of the NATO nations. The rising gas prices. Of course, everybody is concerned, including the Finnish president. The president of Russia would actually want this to end diplomatically, but he also has his own, he wants it to be at his own terms.
I will see how things play out. We've been speaking with the president of the Nigerian community in Volgograd, Russia, Dr. Nedu Ndefo. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.